Hello and welcome back. In this lesson, we're going to talk about fees. That is the second most important part to your calendar because showing your availability is one thing, but making sure that your fees are accurate is good because if you don't put in your fees, either a fee won't show up when somebody does a search, which makes them scratch their head, or some of them have defaults of $10 in there, so if you don't change them to what you want it to be, your fee might show up as $10, and then somebody's going to be expecting you to do that for $10. That's not good. So these are the two, in my opinion, most important, is making sure your time is accurate, making sure your fees are accurate. Those are the two main benefits to using your clients using your notary calendar, is to see your availability and see exactly how much you charge at their location. So go to the menu, go to service fees. First thing you want to do is click this little link right here that says edit service fees. And then you're going to check or uncheck whatever types of signings you do or do not do. I'm not sure why I don't have Ron checked, but I'm going to check it because I do Rons. Don't do many, but I know some people really focus on it. I have not focused on it that much because I did for a little bit when they first came out, and there just wasn't enough business to justify putting a lot of time and effort into it. So, but I will check it. This is real estate, right? And then real estate add-ons. So these are the types of signings. These are add-ons. So if somebody wants scans, if we want document delivery, if it's an island, in the Seattle area, we've got Puget Sound. We have several islands around here that the only way to get on and off the island is via ferry. There is no bridge. And we have a family cabin out on Vashon, so I've been going out there my whole life, and I've done jobs out there. I won't go out there for less than $300, and that's if it's on a weekend when I can go hang out on our cabin. So otherwise, it's basically $400 because it's 4 to 6 hours to get the job done. The ferry fee is $30 now. And it's a nightmare to get on and off. And the ferry system is not that great right now. So we've actually had times where we couldn't even get on the island, which is better than not being able to get off the island because that is a true nightmare when you can't get off the island. But it's more expensive to go out there. So, and jobs sometimes post from signing services that are out of state. They have no idea. They post a seller signing for $75, and I just laugh at them. Actually, I usually send them a note. Go, hey, just so you know, here's the deal. But, so yeah, you get to put in whatever you need to for add-on fees. General notary, there's all this stuff. I don't do fingerprinting. I don't do field inspections, authentications, whatever, vital records. I haven't done any of those, so don't really need to. I would do anything else that's on here. And then add-ons, right? If they need additional signers, if they need witnesses, right? You got one witness, two witness. Then there's notes in here. This is a starting price. Quotes are subject to change. After hours, document. You can check or uncheck any one of these. If you don't want to print stuff for them, if you don't want to do hospital, if you don't want to go to the island, don't. If you got to pay for parking somewhere, if you've got tolls, you can add those all so that they will show up. In fact, let me show you where they show up so it's a little more clear. And the best thing you can do is you're not going to break anything. Okay? And actually, if you do break something, that's not a bad thing. Validating the address is important. It's got to be done. We don't want virtual. Let's say we're going to do general notary. We're going to do power of attorney. Hit search. So just one time slot that day. So you put the name in here. Well, there it is all right there, actually. This is booking for another person. So if they're booking it for somebody else, or use that for referrals. We've talked about that before. But here's all the add-on services. So when you're in the back end of your notary calendar, these are your add-ons. So you can go check or uncheck the ones you want and then come over to your website and see what it looks like, just so you see visually. It's a good idea to do that on a regular basis because then when you're using it, and if you're on the road and you're going to an appointment and a potential client calls you, they get to your website, they call you instead of booking it through here, which happens. Sometimes they don't know what this is. They don't know how to use it. Maybe they're not tech savvy. Maybe they think it's just a regular form, which I hear a lot. I thought that was a form. I didn't want to have to wait for hours to get a response or days, right? People just have regular forms on their site and they don't think they're going to get a response quickly. So they just call. Sometimes that's just a habit people are in. Whatever the case is, I really don't care. I tell them, I don't care how you get to me as long as at the end of the day you're paying me for my services. As long as you're bringing business to me, I'm cool. So text, email, call, doesn't matter. But this tool is certainly handy. So you're on the road and you get a call, and obviously when you're driving, it's difficult to get on your phone if you're actually in the middle of driving and check your calendar, do all that stuff. So you can verbally walk them through the process over your website. And if you don't know what's there, then it's a little more challenging. If you come in and play with it and do a bunch of stuff, book a bunch of test appointments for yourself so you see the process your clients are going to go through. And come in here and check it all. If you spend time in that, you start to see how it works, and it's really easy to go through it with your clients and have them do that over the phone. Even do some test runs. Like I said, you're not going to hurt anything. And if you do, that's good, because we want to find bugs. If there's something in there and it's an end user, I'd rather you find a problem and send it to me and say, hey, there's a problem here, than have an end user have a problem and not be able to book you. So if you run into some kind of little glitch or something like that, let me know immediately. Go text me or something like that. Sometimes the server goes down. It needs to be rebooted. It takes about 10 minutes. So there's all kinds of little glitches that go wrong with technology. So, and then the questionnaire, most of this is pretty self-explanatory. Anybody that's, halfway tech savvy will understand this. Everybody that have the general public that has the book, I always ask them, how was it? And every single person, they said it was super easy. So as long as they see it and they understand what it is and they utilize it, they're going to love it, because it is super easy. It's very intuitive. And that's the way it was designed, because I'm the type that I try to put myself in other people's shoes and understand that, okay, if I'm in their shoes, I don't like complicated, redundant, ridiculous things. I'm an efficiency freak. I don't want to have to click any more than necessary. I just want quick and efficient. That's it. And that is the way I created this, so that the end user, your clients, have a quick, efficient, easy way to book you, which ultimately makes happier people, which makes them come back for more. And that is the goal of this business, is to create redundancy, to create repeat business. So then virtual, and then witnesses. If you want to do witnesses, click that, and then you'll put in the fees. One note real quick before I go from here. This is one upgrade we just did. Okay. Here, when you go to the button, you'll notice I have mobile notary service, online notary, and online consultation. There's those three. What I asked him to do, this was based on another notary said, well, I don't do RON, so I don't want the online notary service. Right? And as a side note, before I forget, you'll notice the mobile has an address. If you click this button right here, the address disappears. You click online consultation, it disappears. If you're doing something a RON, you're probably doing it at your home office, right? So inside your profile is where you put your home office address. It has a box that looks just like this. When somebody clicks this, it automatically pulls the address from there, and it pulls from that address from your profile. So it's using your home address. So it's going to have you at home. So if you're doing a combination of mobile and RONs, if somebody goes and does a search and you have an appointment from 1 to 2 o'clock, your availability is going to show you at your home office to do your RON. If your one ends at 2 o'clock and it's 30 minutes from that 2 o'clock to your home office, it's going to pull that 30 minutes out of the appointment book, and it's not going to show you available at 2, but at 2:30. That allows you to finish that appointment by 2, drive home, and make sure you're there for your RON. Okay. But there's all three of these options here. And one notice says, I don't do RON. I don't want them to think that I even have the availability to do it. I want this gone. And so what my developer did, which was even better than what I asked him to do, I asked him to put something in where you can check or uncheck the ones you want. What he basically did is that anything you have checked here is going to show up. If you have real estate and general notary, that's automatically mobile. If you uncheck all these virtual, then the RON button will go away. This one is the consultation. That is the only one that is connected. So watch this. I hit consultation. I hit save. It should do this. Actually, I haven't even tested this, so hopefully it works. Let me refresh this page real quick and come back and see if the online consultation is gone. Yes, it is. You notice it disappeared. So if you don't do online consultations, uncheck that box. It won't even show up here as an option. If you don't do RONs, I'm not going to do that, because you'd have to uncheck. Actually, I was going to ask him to add that. Do check all or check none. Have an on-off toggle. I have that in the list of next upgrades. So I'm always finding little things like that and asking him to do these in the next. We do upgrades. We do a whole bunch of little things and then push it all at one time. But if you uncheck all these virtual notaries, then that other radio button will also disappear. This one will. So it would only show you as mobile. I'm going to check that back on there. And then you hit save of the ones that are done there. And then all you have to do is come in and put your fees of how much you charge. Now, some of you are like, well, how much do I charge? How much should I charge? That's a good question. You have to decide that for yourself. It is, at least in Washington State, and I'm pretty certain every other state, it is illegal to collude with other notaries and do what they call price fixing. Now, it depends on how you define that. Can you go Google a notary near me and find notaries that have a website and they have their fees posted. Yeah, could you pick up the phone, call other notaries, and price shop them? Even though I'm not a huge fan of that. There should be plenty of notaries that have websites that have their fees on there so you know approximately how much other notaries are charging. But the reality is you need to charge based on what you do. What is your skill level? What is your experience? Are you brand new? If you are, then you might want to charge a little bit lower price to bring in more business. Maybe you don't. Maybe you want to charge what everybody else is charging. That's a decision that you have to make ultimately. You have to decide what's your time worth, what are your costs, what's your expenses, how much time you're going to put into the job, right? It's just basic business. How much does it cost me to do the job? What are my COGS, right? Cost of goods sold. And then how much you want to make. Now, some people outprice themselves. They charge so much that they don't have a lot of business. But when they do get business, when somebody agrees to a higher fee, they make a lot more. Some people charge too little. And it really is kind of a balancing act. You've got to just kind of wing it to a certain degree and figure it out. Go look at other notaries, see what they're doing. If you have connections with other notaries, pick their brain a little bit. How much do you charge for this? So you'll get an idea. You could realistically, if there's other notaries in Notary Counter in your area, you could go look at their site and just do a search. You don't even have to call them if you can find them, right? Just make sure that you get every one of these that you have in the system filled out, okay? And the witness one, this is a per hour deal. The default is set up for an hour. So the mileage part is different. When I get into doing the mileage, which will be 2 lessons from now, I'm going to show you a way to go figure out how to calculate your fees in a more whole sense. Because this is your base fee, right? You got your base fee, which says, here's how much I charge for this type of document. And you're gonna tell the system how far you're willing to go for that base fee. Mine is 15 miles. So for, say, a power of attorney, for example, where is it? Right there. I charge $85 for a power of attorney within 15 miles. So if I'm not driving more than 15 miles, it's going to be $85. I don't do the per stamp thing. Some people do. A lot of people do. Some people do per notarial act. I just do a flat rate. And if they have 1 or 2 more there, I'm all about customer service and making sure that I serve them well. Because if they need something again, guess who they're going to call? Me. If I get there and they have, 1 or 2 more stamps, it's a 2-page document, I'm not going to tack on another 15 or 20 bucks. I might say something to them, it's normally an additional 15, but I'm here. Most of my time is spent traveling to them. To actually do the signing is the least time consuming part, generally speaking. Depends if it's a hospital or a care facility, it can be. But in reality, the bulk of my time is travel. So if they have one more, I say, normally it's $15 per stamp, but don't worry about it. I'll just include it in one. And you know what? Sometimes they throw you an extra tip, or maybe they just pay you extra for whatever. They say, here, keep the $100 or whatever. Cool, thank you. It's not uncommon to do that. When you take good care of people, they take good care of you. That's a general rule of thumb that is pretty much standard across all of humanity. When you serve people well, they like to take care of you. It's just the way it is. So don't be afraid to go above and beyond and help people out, and don't charge them for it. And quite often, they'll just pay you anyway. So I had to get just an example. I had a guy a year and a half ago. His brother was dying. He was sad. And they didn't even know if he was going to make it through the night. His will was sitting in his attorney's office. They had to run and grab it. He called me. I'm like, I can't get there till probably 8 or 9 tonight. He said, that's fine. I gave him a price. I went there. It was a pretty extensive will. It took quite a while, but I double-checked it, but the room was dark. I said, hey, if you don't mind, I'd rather go out here where it's more light, get away from it. It was getting really hot in the room because there's a lot of people. They're all saying their last goodbyes, which, again, that makes it sad. But I say, hey, I want to go just triple-check because tomorrow he may not be there to fix anything or correct anything, right? So I'm being super paranoid, making sure they're not going to have any legal hassles down the road when he's not here to deal with any of it. So I went out in the sitting room and I was just triple checking. I said, hey, I just want to make sure everything's good. He literally pulls 3 20s out of his pocket and says, here. I'm like, you don't need to do that. He goes, no, I do. He goes, you went above and beyond. It's late. You're here. I appreciate it. I was like, cool. So it just happens. And again, I'm not bragging. I'm just saying, when you take good care of people, they will take good care of you. So, all right. That should be enough for the fees. Again, I'll show you how to do the other parts in not the next lesson, but the lesson on profile. So stay tuned, come back for that one, and we'll see you in a minute.